All right, welcome everyone. This is our official call to order for the meeting, and we'll have roll call and the declaration of quorum shortly. But I am obliged to read pursuant to the gubernatorial disaster proclamation and the declaration of emergency for the city of Urbana, Illinois, related to the COVID-19 pandemic, and in accordance with changes to the Open Meetings Act. It has been determined that an in-person public meeting is not prudent or safe at this time. Members of the public body will attend remotely using Zoom webinar. Members of the public may attend via Zoom or view meetings remotely on Urbana Public Television through Comcast Xfinity on channel 6 and 1096. i3 broadband on channel 6, AT&T, Uverse on channel 99, and streamed on the web at livestream.com/Urbana.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take roll. Commissioner Pinilla.
Present.
Commissioner Headland.
Present.
Commissioner Modica.
Present.
Commissioner Fuller.
Present.
Commissioner Sheen, or Shine, Howie, correct me. You have to unmute if you're going to correct me properly.
Present.
How do I pronounce your last name?
Shine.
Shine. Okay. I won't ever make the mistake again.
It's the second
Commissioner
ballot.
Shine is present. Commissioner Rose.
I'm present.
Excellent. Commissioner Ebony Smith. I believe she's absent. Commissioner Buckman. Commissioner Buckman is excused. Okay, and I think we have quorum. We're going to move the vote on the minutes to next meeting.
Do we have any additions to the agenda or changes to the agenda today?
We do. So apart from everything on the agenda as appears is going to be the same. However, we do have a couple of grant presentations that were shuffled to next month. So today we will be hearing grant reports from Ashanti Files on the 2021 Writers of Oya Phase 3 project, Fine Bersoni Inc. on the Pygmalion 2021 Festival. And we're also going to be hearing from CU Black and African Arts Festival on the 2021 CU Black and African Arts Festival. So those are going to be our three for this evening. Leslie Smith of Black Voices Theater Production and Janaea Modest for She Spins Urbana will move to next month's meeting. And I can facilitate that portion and make that easy on you, Barbara.
Okay, thank you.
I believe the next question would be whether we have any public input, and I don't believe that we do today.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, then it's time to move on to presentations. And the first thing on the agenda is your staff report.
And I'm really excited about it because I'm going to be introducing some new commissioners today. So first and foremost, this is the, that should say October report of the staff. I'm going to begin by saying that we have really, I like to begin everything before I do the introduction of the new people to kind of give an overview of just the state of affairs at the Arts and Culture program. We have had a return to some in-person as well as hybrid virtual events and programs following the guidelines set forth by the Illinois Phase 5 reopening plan and consulting public health guidance. Our staff are working to share relief program information, resources for local artists, and we're continuing as many of our initiatives as we can, as well as heading up some new ones that I'll detail in this report. We've had some, before I get started on introductions, we've had some staffing changes I should mention. So last month, but new for the folks that are newly here today, the arts program is typically run by an arts and culture coordinator, that is myself. On occasion, we've had some additional interns, part-time staff, and I like to detail those staff members as well. I'm going to introduce them after I introduce our new board commissioners, but I do want to say that We have continued to work in a hybrid sort of way. So I work both in person and from home remotely. We obviously have quite a number of in-person events and programs that we do, which you'll hear more about throughout this report. And we have a lot of special projects that include arts marketing, events planning, and general operations support that our interns and staff on occasion assist with. But of course, this month is particularly exciting because we have new commissioners to welcome. Last month, we welcomed Lori Fuller. She was a brand new commissioner. We had a lot of commissioners term out at the same time. So we've got a whole group of new commissioners coming in. And I'd like to introduce them now. First is Blair Ebony Smith. She's a strong advocate for arts and cultural engagement as an assistant professor of arts education and gender and women's studies at the University of Illinois. Prior to joining the faculty, she was a postdoctoral research associate with Krannert Art Museum, during which she curated Homemade with Love, More Living Room, a multimedia publicly engaged installation exploring the everyday interior life and creativity of Black girls, women, and femmes. Her past experience includes being program coordinator of Urbana-Champaign Independent Media Center, where she was also the core organizer of Open Scene, sponsored by the National Endowment of the Arts Grant, and obtained jointly by the City of Urbana's Arts and Culture Program and the IMC. Her curatorial and artistic praxis is focused on Black girl celebration, Black feminist poetics, sound art, and design. She obtained her PhD from Syracuse University in Cultural Foundations and Education. Sarah Buckman is our next commissioner I'll introduce. Both Sarah and Blair are not with us yet today. Sarah let me know in advance that she was not going to be able to be present, but that she will be present at every meeting going forward. She teaches a class right now that she won't be teaching in future Tuesdays. But Sarah is the University of Illinois graduate and the marketing manager for Common Ground Food Co-op, as well as the person who coordinates the gallery. She's a local food and culinary arts educator who knits, paints, and enjoys taking food photography. As an avid supporter of local arts, she's organized arts markets, curated the art gallery installations at Common Ground, promoting local artists of all ages. She serves as a community liaison between numerous active local organizations and is interested in assisting Urbana Arts and Culture Commission with future arts and cultural programs. Next, we have Heather Rose, who is on the call today. Welcome, Heather. Heather is an educator and healer, as well as a mother of two, Sabrina, 16, and Zachary, 12. She's a known activist within the community, as well as a poet, broadcaster, and occasional painter. She's an Eastern Illinois alum and has obtained both a community health degree and a master's degree in health promotion leadership. She's made it plain and clear that while working with formerly incarcerated individuals and youth, she offers a safe space. Heather envisions a more holistic approach when it comes to education and wellness, which she has pushed the narrative of having a community being more involved with optimum health, nutrition, mindfulness, and art therapy. Welcome, Heather.
Come aboard.
And last but very much not least, Howie Shine has called Urbana home for 54 years and has been a longtime advocate for the arts and community organizing locally. For 35 years, he was the program director of Unit 1 Allen Hall, an arts-based living learning community advancing social change at the University of Illinois, where he also served as an adjunct associate professor of higher education. He's been an active local community engagement worker, including mentoring CU 1-to-1, Urbana Middle School, Urbana High School, and University of Illinois I Promise program. He has served as a court-appointed special advocate, a neonatal intensive care volunteer at Carle Hospital, and a Park District swim coach. He currently serves on the Urbana Park District Advisory Committee and the Eastern Illinois Food Bank's Public Policy Engagement Committee. Today, he continues his work as a studio potter and is the owner of Howie Shine Pottery, exhibiting his work in local art fairs and expos. You might have seen him recently at Crystal Lake Park Art Fair this past August. Welcome to all four of these new members of our commission. I'm so very excited to have all of you with your expertise and your knowledge join us in this project of really making Urbana's arts and culture community a place where we can truly thrive together. That's really core to what we do. And I'm really excited to bring you all along with that. Before I move on, I just want to kind of give you all an opportunity to say a brief hello. So let's go first to Heather Rose. Would you like to say a brief hello?
Hi, I am excited about working with you guys. This is something new as far as like me being on the actual board. So I'm up for new ideas and just here to serve.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Howie,
Pardon?
Howie, would you like to say hello?
Oh, sure. Hi. I love public engagement, and I am really happy to be part of a group that is promoting art in our community. It's real obvious that it's happening, and I want to be real supportive and hope to have some new ideas for us.
Wonderful. And I'm glad it's very obvious. I hope it continues to be obvious that Urbana has a real commitment to the arts. Were you going to say something, Barbara?
Well, it made me think when he said that when we first started the commission, it took a while to get people to know who we were and what we were doing. And now it's heartwarming to hear that people know about us now and what we're doing and what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I think that's good. And of course, it's always something new for us to be working on. Frank, you have a hand raised on here. I don't know if that's intentional.
No, earlier I had a question about something, but
okay. Well, I'm going to keep
good.
going at this point with the rest of this part. For staffing updates, I just wanted to give everybody some updates about what is to come for our staffing for the Urbana Arts and Culture program. As I said, I am the one full-time staff member, the coordinator of the program, and on occasion we've had different kinds of help. One thing that we're exploring right now, because you may also know that the city of Urbana is also in the process of trying to hire some admin staff for the community development office. So we have had less staff covering the admin work of the community development office, which means that we've been also supplementing that work by all of the employees or different members of the employees coming and actually working the front desk. So if you've come into the community development office, you might have caught me working the front desk on occasion. And that's really because we're also trying to fill that gap while we get that position hired. But in the absence of some administrative help and also no longer having our program specialists with us, we are really in need of some additional help to get us through the grant season administratively. So what we're conceiving of now is a temporary program specialist position that I hope to announce before our next month's meeting. So you'll see that job pop up. And the idea is that that person will begin working pretty quickly and then continue work through potentially around March or April. But it will be a short-term position to really help us get through the grant period. As you know, the Office Support Specialist and formerly the Program Specialist of Arts and Culture, Heather Ann, recently received a new position working with Parkland Theater and the Planetarium as the Operations Associate, I believe is her title. But we congratulated her at the last meeting and certainly she's missed. I'm looking forward to collaborating with her in her new role. We always do an arts grant workshop out at Parkland and we're already in communication about how we can bring lots of different departments at Parkland together for that workshop. We also do have some new students working with us, 2 students through the Community Learning Lab. Both David and Emily are 2 students from the University of Illinois working with me on a very limited basis on Thursday mornings, assisting with some things around our program planning. And then we also have a new student coming to us through the executive internship program at the Urbana High School, and that's Jonathan. So my hope is to have them all come visit and introduce themselves at an upcoming meeting so they can meet the new commissioners as well. Okay, here's some updates on current projects. We got a lot going on. I'm going to try to move pretty quickly. The first is that you may have seen we recently launched the 2021 Urbana Arts Grant applications. Up to $90,000 is available for artists and arts organizations and projects that promote arts and culture in Urbana. We are also now utilizing Neighborly, a new software for grant tracking. The people that are on the call today to present grants are all too familiar with Neighborly and getting things set up. But we are going to be using this software going forward, and it actually will help us track grants from the beginning this cycle. This past cycle, we had to enter them in, and we used the help of our then interns and our program specialists to get everything up to date. In addition to digitizing these applications and reporting processes, we continue to work with our 2020 and 2021 grantees who have yet to complete projects, many of whom were interrupted by COVID-19, to coordinate events, to assist with marketing and to help them troubleshoot how we can do events safely or do programs in a different way, or perhaps even conceive of the project slightly differently in the wake of COVID-19. So that's something that we continue to work on. Anyone who's interested in applying for a grant, they're all due January 16th, 2022. I will be offering drop-in grant hours, which is when I usually hole up somewhere either online or in person at a cafe, and people can drop in during that longer time period for short 20-minute sessions with me to get feedback on their grants. I also give grant workshops. So we'll be giving another virtual workshop as well as some in-person workshops throughout town. And I'll be announcing those very soon. Big part of our past month has been the Growing Community Public Art Initiative. Last month, you heard me talk about the AARP Community Challenge Grant. The city of Urbana was one of 244 cities across the United States that received a $20,000 community challenge grant. Our proposed project, called Growing Community, was a public art initiative that invites local artists to install artworks in selected community gardens, inclusive of installation works, benches, murals. Artwork selected through a jury engages the mission of the community gardens or celebrates sustainability, the local food system, native plants, diversity, and community building among neighbors. We hope that the artwork engages in creative placemaking and beautification, but also that artworks double as creating new amenities for the garden. And in that way, we really focus on building garden infrastructure. So we met with all the participating gardens. We had 6 gardens that we're working with. They include Learman Neighborhood Garden, Habitat for Humanity Community Garden, Cunningham Township Community Garden, Victory Park Community Gardens, the Peace Garden, and Meadowbrook Community Garden Solidarity Plot. All of those together have also worked to identify what amenity could they use in their garden. So in some cases, we're putting art on shade sails because shade was something that was identified. In a couple of cases, we're putting art on job boxes that are going to double as tool lending libraries. That'll help make it possible for people to share tools and not have to haul any tools to the garden. And in a couple of cases, we're focusing on seating or benches. So I don't want to point out a couple of things about the project. It's well underway. We're already doing artwork, and we've selected a bunch of artists for the project. And we're also working a lot with Housing Authority's Youth Build program. And here's some of the youth involved in Housing Authority's Youth Build, installing out at 2 of our sites, the Habitat Garden and the Learman Neighborhood Community Garden. You can see them here participating in all of this. So we've had a lot of support, construction support from Youth Build, Deuce Construction, and local artist Greg Stallmeyer. I want to point out that we already had an unveiling this past Saturday, which featured artwork by Cindy Sampson. A piece called Tropical Punch was installed. And we also had a dedication of a bench placed in honor of Dick Ziegler, who was considered a real angel to Learman Neighborhood Garden over the years and passed away this past year. I'll show you some pictures of the install. So here you can see Tropical Punch is up on a shade sail over the second picnic table. And if you remember my pictures from last month, the picnic tables were pretty worse for the wear, and we sanded them down, we repainted them. And an anecdotal story that I love is that Learman Garden actually had selected a paint months ago for a very future idea of like, one day we'll paint this. And then they selected the artwork, not thinking about their paint. And we put 2 and 2 together, and it actually went beautifully. So you'll see the artwork and the paint look like they belong together. And those were actually selected completely separately. So very serendipitous for us. But we had a lot of help. You can see we've got some youth using the auger here with Greg Stallmeyer. We've got some people painting, and all that was celebrated this past Saturday. And I was really happy our new commissioner, Heather Rose, was able to join us. So thank you, Heather, for coming out for that event. We do have another event that had to be rescheduled due to rain. So this upcoming Thursday, again, think sunny thoughts. We're supposed to get rain on Thursday again. So think many sunny thoughts. We're hoping to have the Habitat Garden unveiling this Thursday at 5:30. As you can see here, you can actually see some of the artwork that's on display. We've got 2 artists as well as peace poles. So the artists being featured are Saba Minetti Tesfaye and Beth Darling. Saba's work is there on the bench. Beth's work is on the raised garden beds. And if you look over here to the bottom picture on the bottom right, you'll see peace poles. These were designed by goal-getters and self-made kings, 2 high school youth programs that came together to paint peace poles and talk about community peace. So these are also going to be unveiled this week. And that I have a lot of updates in the full report. You have a full list of the artwork that's been selected, as well as the upcoming dates for installation. Saturday, October 23rd is going to be our next installation at Cunningham Township, as well as some in early November. So you'll see those come up, and I will be sending you all invitations to come. We love when our commissioners can come out and be part of those ribbon cuttings and unveilings. Now I'd like to talk a brief bit about Ashanti, because she's been up to so much. So our Poet Laureate Ashanti Files, who just so happens to be on our call, I'm going to sing your praises, Ashanti, has been up to quite a lot this past month in particular. She had some engagements I want to mention. In particular, her Teen Writers Retreat happened this past month. And I didn't get a chance to put a bunch of the photos onto this slideshow, but I really urge you to all go to our Facebook page, our Instagram pages, take a look at, I post there very frequently about things that we're doing. And certainly we have updates on our website and in news media and things, but for everyday posting, I encourage you to visit those pages. We have some wonderful pictures pulled together from the 15 teens that came and participated in the Teen Writers Retreat. This was a half-day writers retreat, well, almost a full-day writers retreat with nature walks, guided writing. We had 15 youth participants, and it was sponsored by the Arts and Culture Program, Anita Purvis Nature Center in the Park District, together with our Poet Laureate. So just fantastic work on Ashanti's part. It was something that she had conceived of in her application, and we were able to have happen. And it was another day that projected rain. And believe it or not, the rain stayed away, and we were able to take everyone on a nature walk through Busey Woods. It was beautiful.
Wow.
We also want to point out that Ashanti recently released her new Awaken 2 book. This is a workbook with poetry, prose, writing prompts, and original artwork by Robbie Davis. The book recently celebrated its launch at the Urbana Free Library. And this is the second workbook. We were actually able to use the first workbook out at the Teen Writers Retreat, which is geared more towards young people. So just a fantastic set of activities. I mentioned last month, but I want to mention again, Ashanti was recently featured on Thoughts of an Idealist podcast. She has another book coming out for colored girls who weathered life's storms, and she's going to be a facilitator for the National Guild for Community Arts Education. So she's been doing quite a lot, making Urbana very proud, and I've been keeping a really long list of all the things Ashanti's been up to, and at the end of her tenure, we are going to read that list. We're going to read that list together and celebrate her, because her reach has been very, very strong. A couple of things I want to mention about Young Artist Studio. Thanks to anyone who joined us this past month for the unveiling of Thriving Together community art installation. We had an unveiling, and this program actually invited our Young Artist Studio to collaborate. It was an Urbana Arts Grant funded program. We had over 250, I believe, butterflies submitted through this program celebrating immigration and our local immigrants. And we had an unveiling here. This is at Lincoln Square Mall. The exhibit will stay on display for some time. So if you haven't seen it, go by and see it. But it was all a part of National Immigrant Welcoming Week this past September. We also recently had kids make mosaics as a paper mosaic making workshop done virtually. And then our upcoming Young Artist Studio workshops, the next one features CU Folk and Roots with an instrument petting zoo. In this interactive lesson, young creatives will learn about the wide variety of folk music instruments through CU Folk and Roots Festival's Instrument Petting Zoo. They will get a chance to pick up an instrument, learn how to hold it, find what instrument family it belongs to, and learn the names of its different parts. This event is also a precursor to the 13th annual CU Folk and Roots Festival on October 21st through 23rd. And weather permitting, this will be held outdoors in Cherry Alley, or it will move indoors to Lewis Auditorium. We also will have paper cutouts, a Matisse style workshop with local artist Kinsey Fitzgerald. And we're going to have an exhibit of the pieces in an installation at the Urbana Free Library following this workshop. We also will have a Kwanzaa 365 event, Kwanzaa Art Exploration, as part of Kwanzaa 365, also sponsored by our program. We've added art show and tell, and we did have our first one this past month. So young people asked if they could have a regular art critique, art show and tell for kids 5 and up. So we've been doing this virtually. They bring anything they've been making or working on, and I will tell you, these kids astound me. We've got kids writing screenplays, writing poetry, writing books, making paintings, and it's really lovely to be able to see what they've been working on. Our Art Now is our mini documentary TV series on local artists. We've featured Urbana Museum of Photography this month, and so that continues to air twice a week throughout the month and on UPTV6 as well as on our YouTube channel. I'll mention that we're still working to get information out about any relief that's being offered. We continue to use the Americans for the Arts Relief Guide as an excellent resource. We also had Murals on Glass have a big release. So Murals on Glass, for anyone unfamiliar, this is our program to display artworks on downtown municipal buildings. And we do that, excuse me, I have asthma, cough, which suddenly like gears up in my life. So we have a Murals on Glass that just got released on the Urbana Indoor Aquatic Center. What this is we print artwork on adhesive vinyl, we put them on front windows, and it's perforated. So you can see out of the building, but you can't see through it from the outside. You see the artwork. We recently installed, just past couple of weeks, this piece called Reef. Reef is a meditation on the magic of underwater landscapes. Its aim is to take viewers to a place of wonder, especially in this time when we can't do much physical traveling. Selected artist Jen Gibas is a medical illustrator and animator who works at the University of Illinois. She creates online course animations about anatomy and physiology in the College of Veterinary Medicine. This will be displayed on the front windows of Urbana Park District's Indoor Aquatic Center. We always guarantee a period of 2 years, but the truth is we have yet to take one down. So we guarantee a period of 2 years, but we really continue to just add to the landscape of Urbana by adding these on windows all over. I also want to mention that Urbana Utility Box Mural Program will have some movement. We've recently had jurors meet and evaluate submissions for the next round of utility box murals. So if you haven't seen these around town, this was a new program we instituted this past year. We kind of expanded Murals on Glass to focus on traffic boxes and utility boxes. We're not the first to do this. Many other cities have utility box mural programs, and we joined their ranks. This has been very well received within the city of Urbana. We've gotten great feedback. And there is a limited number of boxes that we can still cover. So we have a few more that we hope to announce in the next couple of months. It's all very weather dependent. So Growing Community Project, because it's the one in the gardens that's grant bound, we've taken kind of priority with installations for that. But as soon as those are done and underway, we'll be installing the utility box murals. So you'll see those pop up around town. We'll have a full announcement with all the selected artists next month. And because there are a limited number of boxes that are city owned, I am also exploring with the University of Illinois the expansion of this project onto university property, Urbana side of campus, as well as with the MTD, a possibility of bus shelters being another place to put art. So I'll continue to keep you informed of any of those conversations as they move forward. Next, we have the Great Art Doors. You're all very familiar, I hope by now, of the Great Art Doors. This is our collaboration with Spurlock Museum, 40 North, and the 2 park districts. We have artwork in Lehrman Neighborhood Community Garden. We have it in Weaver Park. I'm not going to go over them in detail because you've seen them before. Crystal Lake Park is Waiting to Fly. Chief Schumacher Park has Melt. And Between Dog and Wolf is in Southridge Park. We also recently held 2 exhibit dialogues that were happening kind of in conjunction with the Great Art Doors, where artists were able to talk about their work. The first was on September 22nd at 7 p.m. These were hybrid, so they were held at the Spurlock Museum, but we streamed them online, so anyone could also watch from home. And the second one was, again, on October 7th, this past week, we had another one. And these featured artists that have participated in the first cycle, as well as this cycle, talking about some of the themes in their work, their process, and where their work is headed next. I also want to mention that Juxtaposition continues to stay as our Artist of the Corridor exhibition. This is at City Hall in the Urbana Free Library. So for those of you who are new, Artist of the Corridor is our ongoing art displays that are kind of a dual site exhibit series. We have 1 to 3 month long exhibits. This one is going to be up through the end of the year, and it's called Juxtaposition, the Art and Words of Durango Mendoza. It's an exhibit of photographs, sculpture, assemblage, and word images by the late Creek artist and writer Durango Mendoza. The exhibit is funded in part by an Urbana Arts and Culture grant and will remain on display again through the end of the year. Urbana Sculpture Project is another one that is going to have some announcements coming soon. We have both some repairs that we're making on ice pops seen here. That's currently in Boneyard Creek Crossing, which has just had some weather impact it. And we've also got due for removal our Peek Between the Trees races and ice pops, but we have been in conversation about extending their stay. So we're working with those artists and with Public Art League to make those things official, and be talking to you more about that. A couple more things before I'm done. The next one is Urbana Street Pole art banners went up. So you will see around town, we have 8 different artists featured as part of street pole banners. This includes Carly Upchurch, Black Mao, which is Kamal Grantham and Stacy Robinson, Beth Darling, Ralph Rother, K. Hieronymus W., Phil Strang, Mark Anthony Macon, and Eka. Street pole banners are on display in downtown Urbana. We've had some challenges with some of the poles being needing some sort of repair. So we are going to be adding some more. So you'll see even more pole banners go up in the near future as those repairs are made. And last but not least, the Urbana Arts and Culture Program continues to work with the City of Urbana's comprehensive planning efforts. I did let them know we've got brand new commissioners. So for those of you unfamiliar, the City of Urbana is in a process of 20-year comprehensive planning right now. That means we're planning 20 years into the Urbana's future, and we're drawing up a plan for that. So we have some specific staff people working on that project, which we've called Imagine Urbana. They've come once to present at the Urbana Arts and Culture Commission, but because we have almost half of our commission new people at this point, I do want them to come back and actually do a visioning session with us so that your visions for the arts 20 years into Urbana's future can be a part of that process. I've also written Imagine Urbana into some of the projects I'm doing. So you may have heard me, those of you who aren't new, talk about the other grant that we received called Disability Aware Cities. That project too is one in which we're doing listening sessions on the experiences of folks with various disabilities or neurodivergence and how they navigate the Urbana's art scene and its built environment. And so that project is also going to have data that is going to support Imagine Urbana in thinking about disability accessibility 20 years into the future. So that's honestly the end of the report. I mentioned some key festival dates here. Last month was an amazing time for festivals. You're going to hear from 2 of them today as they talk about them, both Pygmalion and CU Black and African Arts Festival. Pride was in Urbana for the first time. It fell on the same weekend as Pygmalion, which was just excellent. So if you were in downtown Urbana that weekend, you really got to see quite a show. And coming up, we'll have CU Folk and Roots Festivals this month. We also have something that we don't sponsor, but CU Jazz Festival, which we sponsored in the past, is also this month, as well as Kwanzaa 365 in December. Oh, and Small Press Fest is this month. So we have a lot going on, a lot of festivals this fall. And that's all. Thank you all for your time today. Any questions for me on programs? I had a long report and I know I moved quickly, but let me know if you have any questions at all.
I have a comment. This is a ton of stuff. And you're to be congratulated on being able to participate and getting all this stuff done.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't do it without help. So I've been so lucky to be able to partner with different organizations and have things like interns and volunteers and commissioners who come in and help out at events. So, you know, I'm really grateful for all that help and support for sure. Mm-hmm.
Howard, you'll find out. Rachel's like the Energizer Bunny. She just doesn't quit. You got to hurry to keep up with her.
I'm excited for some of the things coming up, and I'll be sure to send out to all of our commissioners here invitations to those unveilings and other things that we have going on in the next few weeks.
Great.
All right.
Well, is it time that we can have some grant presentations now?
I think so. And I'm going to actually begin with Ashanti Files. So we're going to invite Ashanti to present on the final report for 2021 Urbana Arts Grant Writers of Oya Phase 3. And I am being Ashanti's, what is it called?
Technology specialist.
Technologies, I was going to say Vanna White, but yeah, technology specialist. I'm like, is that
the gown. You need the gown though, you know.
I do. I don't have any gown right now.
No sequins.
Let me just make sure I got this all together for you. Okay, here we go.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone.
Hi,
I was recently promoted at work, and so I'm joining from my phone in my office, and Rachel's going to be moving the slides along for me. But welcome to the Writers of Oya.
Oh, did we lose you? Hold on, Ashanti.
There you go.
For 3 consecutive years. And I am tremendously blessed that you believed in us and in me as a facilitator. Can we have the next slide, please, Rachel?
We can, but I do want to point out this message to you, Ashanti. It looks like it's not given me permission to play their media objects, and I know you're going to want to play them.
Oh.
I can, let me stop share for a moment, and I'm just going to request access so we can sort that out. Because we have a audio.
We do.
This is an audio file situation.
It is. For those of you who don't know, the Writers of Oya is a spoken word group that you guys have allowed me to facilitate for 3 years. I'm someone who struggles with anxiety and depression, and I've written my whole life to combat it. And the Writers of Oya is my attempt to go into our communities and teach other teenage girls of color how to use writing to combat bullying, depression, suicidal ideation, and to overcome trauma as well. Is it working now?
I requested access, so you're probably gonna have to go in your Gmail and click 3 times.
Okay, if that first one won't go, here we go. I'm sending it to you. I'm okay if the first one doesn't go, but the last 2 have to go.
Okay.
So that's a little bit of our history. And thanks to your generous funding in the past 3 years, we have been able to perform at numerous community events. The second grant season, we were able to publish Unmasked, which was their debut compilation of poetry. These girls were featured on WCIA 3 and local poetry slams. And so for phase 3, I said, okay, now what can I do? And our goal was to develop an album. So we actually did a spoken word album that's now available on Spotify and iTunes and other streaming platforms. And it was the girls' kind of experiment to see how they can enhance their spoken word poetry with music. So we partnered with a local community producer, Grant Alexander Luz, and he worked with the girls. I worked with them getting their writing together and worked on memorization. And he taught them how to pick a beat and how to evaluate music that will uplift the audience, how to choose music that'll go really well with the words of the poems, how to play with intonation. So for the girls who've been a member of the Writers of Oya, this was kind of like an additional perk because they are finally confident enough to write and perform. And now they learned a new way to perform, and they were introduced to like a professional studio environment. So that was really phenomenal. May I have the next slide, please?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. In addition to doing their spoken word album, a couple of things happened. I used a portion of the grant money because with COVID-19, I lost the ability to work in the school because school was shut down. School reopened this fall, but my grant cycle was last year through this year. So I used some of the grant funds to kind of put my curriculum in black and white. And that's what that Awaken Journal is that Rachel so humbly mentioned earlier. And so the Awaken Journal is my curriculum, and I'm able to take it with me wherever I go. So Writers of Oya is no longer beholden to a physical location of Urbana Middle School. I can take it with me wherever I go. So I'm tremendously thankful to you for that. the writing group in particular, in addition to doing their spoken word album, they were on the IMC Sounds Like Community in April for the Sexual Assault and Awareness Month program. They performed at the IMC, and their program was streamed to audiences virtually through Facebook and through their website. They also participated in Non-Op, which was a collaborative project between a group in Champaign-Urbana, Carbondale, and Chicago. And our portion was a viral silence documentary where the Writers of Oya were specifically asked to interview activists and artists in our community. And that was done with Keith from the IMC and Ibrahim as well. That's available on YouTube as well as on their website. They participated in my Poet Laureate Showcase. They participated in HVNT's 40 Days of Peace Nonviolence March. They were also invited to participate in the book launch of a local poet, Jasmine Sullivan. She specifically asked for them by name. And later this month, 3 members of the Writers of Oya will actually be co-presenting with me at the National Guild for Community Arts Educators Groundwork Conference. So these girls, the ones who have stuck with me, are not only developing self-esteem and self-confidence and the ability to express themselves, but they're now to the point where they can actually teach my curriculum and what I taught them. So it gives me all the feels. Rachel, if you go to the next slide, I believe there's some pictures of some of the things we've done. Denilah and Ashley are keynote speakers alongside myself at the national conference that'll be taking place October 27th. They also participated in Pandemics as a Portal to Change, which is in the Krannert Art Museum. And then the other photos is interviews that they did in the local community during the Non-Op Viral Silence documentary. They interviewed Danielle Chenoweth, former Poet Laureate Will Rieger. I can't see the guy in the blue shirt, but I know he's a musician. And then
DJ Clark. Or
DJ
wait,
BJ Clark, yes.
there's 2 blue shirts, so I think you're talking about him.
Thank you. And so I might be getting close to my 5-minute time, but if you progress to the next slide, there's actually a promotional video there that I created for their national conference to highlight these girls. Are you able to hear it?
Were you hearing it?
No.
Okay, hold on real quick. One moment.
It's not a Zoom call if it's not a technical issue.
I know, give me 1 second. Okay, here we go. I believe. This top one first, right? You hear it now?
I am a woman. I take pride in my curves and my thighs. A woman, beauty in all she is. But everyone knows that beauty is pain. She knows that beauty is pain. Cover up the bags from years worth of crime with just a little bit of makeup. It'll do. Walk fast when you're alone at night. And stay scared. Scared makes you careful. Careful is what survives. I am a woman. No matter what I do, I'm asking for it. She was sending signals anyway. Remember, ladies, if the ice doesn't float, something's in the dream. In America, the most valuable lessons are always the ones we are never taught. I am a woman, not your toy to be put back in the box when you're done, not the one sending signs because I don't want you. At the end of the day, just because you want it doesn't mean it's yours. And yes, I will say it, my pussy is not your property. I am a woman, so much more, yet never less. Nevertheless. Nevertheless.
Would you like me to play the next one as well?
If you have time to.
Mm-hmm.
I am a
Oh,
woman.
wait. Is it playing the
I
same
take-
one? Hold on. Let's see if I can full screen it.
It's dark outside. I can hear noises, and they are not coming from my headphones. You cannot sleep now. There are monsters nearby. The paranoia sets in. I see shadows draping my curtains. I hear boss music beginning to play. My controller is not letting me exit this game called life. I'm not ready. I don't have enough materials for this level yet. I shouldn't have worked this far. I'm not ready. It comes in the night, cloaked in shadows. It is evil. I cannot escape. My escape key is broken. As I stand there with my wooden sword from the old man, as I turn to face anxiety, it is evil. It is disgusting, vile. It crawls all over my body, oozes into my soul with screams of "you are not good enough." I wonder how many lives left until game over. Game over.
That's all I have for you guys. Again, their spoken word album is available on iTunes and Spotify, free streaming services. Their book Unmasked is still available and in the Urbana Free Library. And the ladies are looking forward to presenting at their national conference to teach others how spoken word can help resolve trauma and build resilience. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ashanti. Any questions for Ashanti? Questions or comments?
How old is that one, the girl in the first video when
She's 14.
man, I wouldn't have had that kind of stamina and courage at 14. I'm impressed.
Yeah, she's 14. My oldest person is 16 years old, and they, through writing, are learning to cope with stories I, as a woman, couldn't tell until I was 35. So
It took me even longer to tell some of mine.
yeah.
It's powerful work you're doing, Ashanti.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other comments or questions? All right. Thank you for your presentation. Next up, we have Patrick Singer of Fine Bressoni Inc. and presenting Pygmalion's 2021 Festival.
Indeed. Thank you, Rachel, and thanks, everyone. I know a few of you here, but in case you don't know me, my name is Patrick Singer. I have done work with Pygmalion and Smile Politely in the community for many years now, and we were honored to get to have the support of the Urbana grants again this year. And so now that we've made it through our 17th festival, I'd be happy to talk more about it now that I've had a couple weeks to kind of rest up and get my batteries recharged a bit. So thanks everyone for joining. And as Rachel mentioned earlier, I was really happy to see all the other festivals that are taking place in Urbana in September. And just, you know, I'm really proud and honored to get to do our event in Urbana because I feel like there's a bit of a arts and culture renaissance happening. And, you know, I like to consider us being one part of that, you know, fabric. And, you know, I thought that was really great that you outlined all of those things that were happening, that just happened and that are going to continue to happen this year. So, you know, thanks for taking the time to let me present today. I'll try to make it brief, and then I'm happy to answer any sort of questions that you all might have. So I'll share my screen here. Here we go. Can you all see it all right? Okay, cool. So like I said, you know, this was our 17th installment of Pygmalion, and our company also owns and operates a magazine called Smile Politely. We've featured a lot of the projects that you're seeing here today and through the Arts and Culture Grant process that we're really proud to be able to cover on our magazine as well. This was my 9th year doing Pygmalion alongside my partner Seth Fine, and this was our 17th year. And all of our events took place in Urbana this year, so we were really excited about that. And we're really happy to return to an in-person event, which I'll talk about some of our challenges. And you know, no two Pygmalions are the same, so this isn't an unfamiliar tale to us through the course of our history. We present all different sorts of entertainment and things like that through our programming. So we present live music, authors, poets, even some like Ashanti. She was one of our authors this year, and as you can see our lineup poster here from this year. And so we were really happy to be able to present things like comedians and podcasts and things like that, and celebrate in conjunction with CU Pride Fest this year. So it was really exciting to have them alongside, doing their thing alongside us. And we thought it really made for a really amazing cohesion in downtown Urbana in the last week of September. So we were really happy to be able to do that. A bunch of great folks over there. So I'm happy to talk about some of the shows that we did that were directly related to the arts and culture program. As I'll get to some of the challenges, we were able to move a bunch of our performances that were supposed to be inside the Rose Bowl, and we were able to move them outside, which was a really worked out really well for us in the end to present a bunch of bands out there. The first night we had in downtown Urbana was this amazing act called Tank and the Bangas from New Orleans. They absolutely brought the house down. If you were there, you would have seen it, but we were really, really honored to present them, and they were just amazing. And their lead singer, Tariana Tank Ball, is also a poet. And so she has a book of poetry called Vulnerable AF, and she did a literature reading down the street at 25 O'Clock Brewing Company before her performance. So we were really honored to be able to kind of double up, as you might say, on their presence at the event. So we were really, really honored to have them. And so I got some more photos of people getting down and grooving. So we thought that was a fun one to be able to include. And then it also featured this musician named Namdi, who's from Chicago, and another rapper named McKinley Dixon. So we were really pleased to be able to present that bill outside in Urbana and on Friday night for Pygmalion this year. And then on Saturday night, we presented Serena Isioma, a really incredible up-and-coming artist from Chicago. They aren't as well known as Tank and the Bangas yet, but I have a feeling you'll be seeing a lot more of them in years to come. And they had an incredible band, and we were really excited to be able to present that for night 2 of Pygmalion in downtown Urbana. And so, like I said, we had a really successful event because it was a bit smaller this year than it normally has been due to kind of our constraints with our timeline and planning. Considering we usually start planning our outdoor or our in-person events a little bit earlier than we did this year, we just had a little bit smaller event, but we still felt like it was an incredibly successful event to be able to present in downtown Urbana. And so we felt like we had a positive engagement with being able to have our COVID-19 protocols that were totally new, not just to Pygmalion, but we learned from a lot of our industry colleagues about how to navigate those things and how to make a safe and secure environment for people to come out and feel like they're in a safe space to be able to enjoy themselves. And we were happy with a lot of the feedback that we got about our vaccine policy and things like that. So we appreciated everyone being understanding and working with us on that because, like we said, we're navigating new territory too. So considering no two Pygmalions are the same, adding a vaccination COVID-19 policy on top of that was definitely an experience, but it was a good one. And so we learned a lot from that. And so because a lot of our events took place in downtown Urbana and were supported by the funding that came from the grant, it really helped anchor our presence in downtown Urbana this year outside of the Rose Bowl. And as a result, we were able to do a bunch of other shows that happened around that. So like I put here, we utilized the Rose Bowl Tavern outdoor area. Canopy Club, obviously it's not adjacent to what we were doing down there, but still in Urbana nonetheless. We did shows outside at Nola's Rock Bar. We did readings at Analog. We did podcasts and readings at 25 O'Clock. And we did a couple other shows at Sip Yard and Cafeteria and Company and things like that. So we felt like we really had the added benefit of being able to present those 2 shows in downtown Urbana on Friday and Saturday night, and it helped kind of bolster our presence. So we were really, really happy about that. And so we just felt really great about the diversity of our lineup this year. It's always a really high priority for us, not just to represent the BIPOC community, but also the LGBTQ plus community alongside our friends at Pride Fest. So we felt like all things considered, we were really, really proud of what we were able to present this year, alongside a bunch of great local talents. So, we had bands like Mermaid Heaven and Afro D and Global Sound Waves and all other sorts of cool stuff that we were able to present for music. And, we just felt like, all things considered, we were really happy with what happened. So we look forward to our 18th year next year, which will take place in Urbana. It's always the last full weekend of September, so September 22nd through 24th. And so we're really happy to be able to present what we do again in downtown Urbana. And what that looks like next year could be totally different. That's kind of the name of the game for us. But we always feel that we are just grateful for the support, and we look forward to being able to do it next year and find success. And hopefully things won't be as crazy with COVID now that we're kind of learning how to navigate it and learn to live with it. So we're looking forward to doing that next year. But yeah, so that's my presentation. So I'll stop the share. And yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions. I don't know how long that was. I just kind of whipped through there, but yeah, we were really honored, and I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has any for me.
Thank you, Patrick. First and foremost, congratulations. Fantastic job.
Thank you.
What questions do you all have about the festival?
What kind of production changes did you have this year versus last year when you you were forced to adapt?
Yes, so that's a great question, Barbara. So, considering Pygmalion has kind of had transitioned for a few years to be moving all of our performances inside, because we feel as though the way that festivals and events of this nature have changed, it really kind of loses sight of the intimacy and the audience interaction. And so, considering we'd kind of moved away from that in the years past, and when we announced Pygmalion in August, we had all of our shows announced for indoor. Seeing as how a few weeks after that, we kind of realized that we were going to need to make some pretty significant changes to ensure that we were able to do as many shows outdoors as we could to make people comfortable and be able to present the way we hope to present. So we definitely had to sort that out and figure out what that meant. So, we worked with Rose Bowl and NOLA's to be able to move and create some infrastructure outside. And so we felt as though we were able to utilize what the pre-existing infrastructure was, which was, there's a big outdoor tent already out there at Rose Bowl, and kind of reimagining that space to exist as not just, hey, we're presenting a show outside, but how do we think about presenting a show that was supposed to happen inside, outside, which I know sounds like, it might not sound like there's much of a difference, but I think from a festival promoter's standpoint, in the past, I'm used to doing much larger shows that might happen on a much bigger stage on a street or something like that. And I think that's kind of become the norm with what kind of infrastructure you need for an outdoor performance of this nature. And so I really, the light bulb kind of went off for me about how can I kind of make these indoor shows feel like indoor shows, but be outside. And so I thought that was a really, excellent test for me as a, industry professional, but also I felt like the goal for me was how do I create a safe environment, but also deliver the same sort of intimacy and excellence in regards to an audience experience that I possibly could. So we were really happy to be able to do that and to present a ticketed show outside alongside the things that were happening adjacent to those Rose Bowl shows, which was the Made Fest, which was happening in the other side of that parking lot. And so, to answer your question, Barbara, in a shorter sense, we always just try to be open-minded and pivot and be flexible. And so, when it came to moving those shows outside, we kind of just put our thinking caps on for a minute and said, hey, how can we do this how can we do it quickly and effectively without kind of causing ourselves even more of a headache, and while still, being cognizant of our audience experience. And so for me, personally and professionally, I'm very interested in obviously presenting amazing artists that don't normally play here in Urbana. But I'm also, my highest priority is making sure our audience engagement and our audience experience is as good as it can be. Because, ultimately Pygmalion is for the people of Urbana and Champaign to get to come out and experience things that don't normally look like what happens here. And so, I think that I like to consider what Pygmalion does similarly to all other sorts of event, whether it's a CU Black and African Arts Festival or Pride Fest or anything else that is happening arts and culture wise in Urbana. So we like to think that we're delivering something that's a little more unique and experiential and intimate for people that live here, because we got to have cool stuff to do while we're here. So yeah, it's a lot of flexibility and learning from what happened before, and listening to people when they say, hey, are you considering doing these shows outside? And we say, yeah, actually we're working on that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next year. But as we all know, things are changing very quickly all the time. And so, last year we did a virtual event, and so that taught us a whole different set of things. And so we're really excited to be able to maintain our flexibility and still present quality arts and culture entertainment.
Yeah. Thank you, Patrick.
Yeah, no problem.
Any other questions?
I have.
Oh,
sorry.
Susan, I'm sorry. I can only let questions come from commissioners.
Oh, that's okay. I had a comment. That's okay.
Okay, hold your comment but you're welcome to say it during your presentation. Go ahead, Gonzalo.
Oh, yeah, I have a question regarding documentation of the performance. Do you have like a platform, or what are the types of documentation besides like photographs, or there is like access to this? Because it seems like yeah, at least for me.
You want to know where else you can see them?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I totally appreciate that question, and I think that you're not the first person to ask those types of things. Whether it's like, hey, how can I watch this after the fact, or how can I experience Pygmalion if I'm not able to come, or how do I just learn more about what's going on here? And so we typically don't. People have asked us, do you live stream your performances? Or is there somewhere I can watch it online? And granted, we did that last year because it was an online event. But we don't have any like video footage or things like that because, we're really focused on having, preserving that sort of in-person engagement. And I feel like, yes, I think that I would like to have some video, even a little bit, and we have a lot of photographs I'm happy to share with you. But, when it comes to that sort of footage, there's not a ton of it because we're really focused on the intimacy and in-person engagement. And so, when you go to Pygmalion, it's a little bit different. It's not like, some of the other larger outdoor festivals where you might have like big screens that are on the sides of the stage where you can like see from a mile away, because we're really just interested in focusing on the performers and the stage. And, we don't have much video footage from this year's festival for a variety of reasons. And that's just because we're really interested in, promoting and producing an in-person event and not really focusing on preserving these things or streaming them online. So if you're interested in more photos, I know I presented a few here in our slideshow. Rachel can connect us, and I'm happy to share other photographs.
But you're going to be sharing them, no doubt. I think probably you already have shared a ton. I know I shared some through our arts page. I mean, yeah. One thing you haven't mentioned, Patrick, is that both Patrick and Seth have their better halves are photographers.
Oh yeah, yeah. My now wife is a photographer, and her name's Anna Longworth. And yes, we are officially married now, so that's good. That happened about a month and a half before Pygmalion, which again wasn't supposed to happen in August. It was supposed to happen before, but COVID-19 had other plans for us. But yes, we will be posting some photos on our Instagram and things like that. So feel free to follow along with us over there.
I know you were talking about other things, Gonzalo, but the photographs that come out of this festival in particular are always incredible because you've got two professional photographers taking photographs the whole time. Both Justine and Anna do an amazing job. And I was just going to say, I was out there that weekend going to both Pride and Pygmalion, and I loved the flow of both of them going on concurrently. What a gift it was to have them happen simultaneously. I wandered right from everything going on Main Street right down to MadeFest, and was able to shop for art in MadeFest, and then started to see the band start to come out. I mean, it was just wonderful. So I think one of the things that I want to share with you is, as I was on the street, it was our own mayor, Diane Moff-Marlin, who said to me, "This is what I want Urbana to look like all the time. Like this show of diversity, this show of people out, like just this show of community coming together." So be very proud of what you're able to put together. And I think we're always like stronger together. So the fact that the festivals happen concurrently is like just awesome.
I really appreciate that, Rachel. And I'll have to email Mayor Marlin and tell her thanks for that comment. And, you know, there's a lot of other things within the structure of Pygmalion that happens. And so, like you said, I didn't really get a chance to, and I don't have enough time, and this is a whole other thing, but, you know, we have this amazing thing called the MadeFest, which happens in concurrent. It's a very excellent curated showcase of some amazing artists. And, you know, that's kind of perfect for this sort of commission here. And so that's just one part of what happens at Pygmalion. So that's why we're really focused on access and free programming where we can, and have those things be safe and family friendly and things like that. So I'm glad you mentioned like the flow into MadeFest, because I felt like I always feel like it's such a nice welcoming compliment to what we're doing. And, you know, the weather was good, so that helps, you know.
It really was.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations, Patrick. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for your presentation today.
Thank you.
Give him a little round of applause. I instituted clapping after presentations when I became the arts coordinator. You all get clapped. You know, you're sharing with us your thing, your baby that you've worked on forever, these festivals, these events, and they're such a gift. So next up, we've got Susan and Cindy Ogwal here to present CU Black and African Arts Festival 2021 Festival. Are you going to be sharing your screen as well?
Yeah.
All right, go for it.
Okay.
If you're sharing sound, remember to click the share sound button. Don't do as I do.
Okay. Hold on 1 second. Oh. Okay, great.
While Susan is getting that up, I just wanted to say, to add on to what Patrick was talking about, I honestly feel like, Rachel, this Urbana Arts Grant is just more than a grant for us. It's almost like we are a family, because whenever we do talk about our dates, we're like, okay, Pygmalion, okay, you know, Pride Fest, like, what are your dates? What are your dates? You know, and so we all work together to support one another. So just wanted to put that out there, that I just love that energy and the unity that this grant is, you know, bringing to the community. So thank you.
Thank you.
I agree. Ditto, ditto. And I also want to pour in the congratulations for another year, and also getting through the pandemic, and just really just an applause again to Patrick and everyone who put on Pygmalion Fest. I was able to drive down, or I was able to come up, I think it was Saturday night, and it was such a beautiful, beautiful display outside with some of the vendors outside that night, and also the music that was going on. So, man, it was just awesome. So I just wanted to say kudos to you and the team. We know. We totally know, you know, it takes a lot of hard work and collaboration. So that's what I wanted to say earlier, Rachel.
I'm glad you got your chance.
Thank you, Susan.
You're welcome. So let me put my little timer on real quick so that.
Oh, you guys are being so kind with the 5-minute rule. You all are doing great. Don't sweat about it too much.
Just letting you know, hey, we want to do our part. So. So as you see, my name is Susan Ogwal, and my sister-in-law, Cindy Ogwal. We are the co-founders of CU Black and African Arts Festival. And This is us, a picture of us this year with our CI Living folks who came out to support and also, continue to help promote our festival this year. And we also want to, first and foremost, always say thank you so much to our Urbana Arts and Culture program team. Rachel, you are, I don't even know what to say. You are beyond words right now with everything that you just displayed and showed that the team is doing. So we cannot say thank you enough for the commission supporting us and the board and other parts of the city just really working with us to continue our festival. Oh, okay. So just real quick, for those of you who are new, we are a not-for-profit organization, and our mission is really simply to expose and give a culturally diverse experience to our Champaign-Urbana and Midwest region. Particularly our festival expresses both Black and African expressions, looking at really just the global diaspora and how we can inject some of the wonderful aspects of being part of that global Black diaspora, whether it's from Africa, whether you're from Brazil, whether you're from London, or right here from Champaign-Urbana or Springfield or Chicago. We want to be able to expose people to some of the beautiful aspects of culture, whether it's through art and music or, well, I should say different forms of art expression. And this includes us having vendors and resources and even food available for folks to taste or actually grab a whole meal. This picture is a picture of our team from this year. So this is just a shout out to them as well when they see this, again, this recording, that we could not do what we do without our team members. Even though we do have a small team at the moment, we are going to be growing and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But just to let you know that, again, we are a team-oriented organization in which we really look forward to being able to work together and partner with the community to put on this festival. We are in our third year this year. And so as many of you know, the first step is getting the promotions out there. We have a wonderful graphic artist who is able to take our concept and just really blow our minds with our promotional materials. We also had a number of other promotional partners this year and also collaborators for different aspects of our festival. Some of them are named there. One of our biggest partners this year was our Champaign-Urbana MTD. And they came right alongside us and are ready to partner again with us next year. CI Living, as I shared before, did a story for us this year. And other partners who have been there actually since the beginning. Chambana Moms, Smile Politely, Common Ground Food Co-op, whoop, whoop, I have to shout them out. BNAC, Department of African American Studies, Idea Store, Urbana Acupuncture, and so many more other sponsors that I just could not list here for the sake of time and for our presentation. Just a little bit of our one of our pillars, which is a major one, as you can see, our children. We always want to make sure that our festival is family friendly. And so we, with our Kids Corner this year, again, just being a little bit more considerate with the pandemic and what we're, all going through with that. We were able to provide different activities that the family could enjoy, such as Live Enjoy photo booth, where families got to be able to come and take their pictures for free, and they could get it right then and there, no charge. You see some of our children who made necklaces from their Creative Maker Space table that you see on the right, and some of our volunteers working with our children to make different arts and crafts. I also want to give a shout out to, again, our partners who worked with us for our kids activities. The YMCA with Stacy Robinson, they created art pieces that they could color as well. The Jump Off was there and provided for a limited time a bouncy house for the kids. Hip Hop Express bus came through outside of Lincoln Square Mall. And then Live Enjoy photo booth again was able to provide some of that activity.
And most importantly, WILL, who has been a strong support for us in our Kids Corner as well.
Thank you so much for that. So one of the things that WIL does is each year, as Cindy said, in the previous years, we've been able to not only provide activity packets for the kids, but they also get to go home with an actual book that they can either learn something about Africa or Black culture, something that's really beautiful, or even being able, and some of those books include recipes that they can try at home with their families. So thank you so much for that. I did forget to add them to our partner list. Okay, and our most requested item that you all have the privilege to see today. This year, we, through the tremendous support of our community members, we were able to exceed our own expectations of our vendors and resource tables. And so what you see here is literally all of our vendors who came through. We do charge a vendor price, but within that vendor price this year, we included some of our social media marketing with that piece. They also were able to get a free lunch that was donated by Neal Street Blues. And also they were able to get a gift bag that, you know, we were able to show them appreciation for their time with us. And then just really having a good time and enjoying themselves. I also want to mention that with our vendors, we're also able to provide them with the table space that they need. So really, as a vendor who comes to our festival, you're able to come in and just really do what you do with I would say as less hassle as possible from beginning to end, having a touch point person, which of course is our fabulous Cindy Ogual. She is on it, y'all. When I tell you, she is one of our greatest, if not the greatest recruiter of our vendors. Our vendors, particularly this year, came as far as Mississippi, Chicago, St. Louis, Indiana, Iowa, and then of course locally representing Central Illinois, that would be Champaign-Urbana and also Springfield, Illinois. So a little bit about, again, just to give a little bit of shout out, we have our most requested food item. Again, back this year was our pineapple drinks. Then again, if you see at the top right, one of our vendors, there, she actually ended up pretty much almost selling out, and which is what a lot of our testimonies have been with a lot of the vendors that we curate. And again, for those of you that may or may not know, our vendors particularly represent our global Black diaspora or African diaspora. So you have vendors who you may have never seen before, or creative art makers and things like that, sellers of different crafts that come through. You'll see at the bottom left, our resources aisle. We were able to partner up with our community health partnership folks and also our refugee center, who were able to come down and actually provide free health assessment testing to folks who came out that day, as well as other critical information to some of our most vulnerable community members. You see on the top left, we adopted her as our elder auntie, who was a great supporter of our festival this year. In particular, she came to one of our presentations that we did about a month before our festival, and she literally made her way back to the festival on the day of and volunteered the entire time. Unbeknownst to us that this is what she wanted to do. And she later on shared some of her most memorable times and how this was something that really touched her heart as an elder person who was seeing this come to fruition, and talking about some of the barriers and some of the struggles she had seeing representation of herself, and then now being able to see that forward being passed on down to us. So I also wanted to show a little bit of a quick video of some of our artists. This is Keith Jacobs, who was our live painter. Again, one of our most requested artists who came through. up right there so I can continue. And I'll show you the end of what that live painting did. This is our festival artist lineup. Again, working with different collaborators, we were able to put on different aspects of artist expression, from DJ music to our kids jam hour. As I said, Keith Jacobs painting, a Royal Destruction dance group. This year, we were able to feature Christian and Sumbi Sky, Congolese gospel artist group. And you can go and find many of their videos on our website, not website, our social media. Dennis Productions, African Dance Group came all the way down from Chicago. We were able to feature NTR Prodigy, a young and upcoming artist, a rap artist. And then also, again, one of our most requested folks who have now, folks have been inboxing us, who is this guy? Tebe Zalongo. He is a poetic violinist, just absolutely beautiful in his expression. And we certainly can't forget our evening vibes with DJ Inca and Therapy. And again, we kicked it off in the evening with our Rose Bowl after party set. Again, socially distanced, and following our COVID protocols as well. And then I just wanted to end there to just say that with the Urbana Arts and Culture Grant, we are able to really provide the community with something that they've never had before, which we keep hearing those same testimonies over and over. Folks are able to find pieces of clothing or art or bags or jackets or something for the children to be able to do, something to be able to enjoy with their family members throughout the day. And then as you see here on the bottom left, you see Keith Jacobs, when he finally finished his art piece, this was a tribute to Chadwick Boseman, as you can see there. And just a very, very gifted artist. And he was able to sell his piece for quite a bit of money that day. So again, your support allows us to support our local artists, who are then in turn supported when people buy their work and either get their books or get their crafts and things like that. I also posted this picture of my niece who was playing the drums. This is really to just encourage you all that you all are setting up legacy. We have not taught our niece how to play drums. We have not taught her how to sing. She's not even 2 years old yet. She just made a little over 1 this year. And we caught her in action, playing the drums on her own, and then just singing, baby singing while she was doing that. And so it was just a beautiful moment that we realized how far how far of an impact that we were making, even unbeknownst to us at the end of the day, when we took this piece. And then as you see on the bottom right, again, your support for our program, our festival, allows us to be able to make those community connections. We had a really fun time talking with our WCIA and CI Living folks, particularly. So you see that picture there. So if you want to see more pictures like that, certainly, we ask you to consider us again. And I would join in with what others have said this year, particularly those of us who are planning festivals or semi-large or large-scale programming, that, of course, our biggest challenge has been getting through the pandemic. Last year, we went virtual. And then this year, with going face-to-face, we did not have the capacity to be able to screen everybody for vaccinations. But what we were able to do was to make sure that everybody was masked up. I know you don't see it in the picture there on the right. We did have our mask on before we took our picture. But certainly throughout the festival, making sure that everyone was safe and able to just really enjoy themselves in a peaceful way. And I think what the pandemic really taught us was that we value each other's presence even more than we might have thought of before. And so if you want to find out more about us, you can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, and we also have a website. And then I also want to make sure to note that we do have videos coming up that our videographers are editing at the moment. We just we weren't able to provide them today. But in the next couple of weeks, you should be able to go on our social media and find those videos to be able to see a much bigger aspect and real-time movement of our festival aspect. So I'm gonna stop there because I'm way over 5 minutes. But thank you so much for this opportunity, and I will stop sharing, and I'm gonna give it over to Cindy to answer any questions.
All right, congratulations, Susan and Cindy, on a fantastic
A lot
festival.
of work.
Yeah, what
Thank you,
questions
guys.
do you have, commissioners?
What was your attendance like?
So it's funny that you asked that question because the night before I went to go get 4 clickers. I want to say we had a little over 1,500 people. So we're ranging, we're ranging it at over 2,000 folks that participated. By like 1 o'clock, we were at like 900 something clickers, numbers on our clickers. So that was what our attendance was like. It was a little overwhelming in a great way, but we didn't anticipate, once again, a lot of support.
It's great.
Well, I try to make it out to all these festivals, and I came through CU Black and African Arts Festival with my family, and just like, Pygmalion and a lot of our festivals, I would say CU Folk and Roots too, like there's such a, multidisciplinary aspect of how these festivals are designed. And I know that is huge for Pygmalion. They started as a music festival and it eventually really started to add. And from CU Folk and Roots CU Black and African Arts being a younger festival, you all have had a really multidisciplinary approach this whole time. And what's really great about it is, like, when I was there with my family, I got to eat some amazing food from Gambia? Where was it?
Ghana.
Ghana.
It
was from Ghana.
From Ghana.
Oh my gosh, it was so good. And Tomas had it first, and then I got jealous and I had to go get myself a plate. And I got to see, you guys had really expanded this year, and I really felt that. So the whole expansion into the other hallways of Lincoln Square, having vendors going all the way down, was so impressive. And I stumbled into a talk about a person who, and their name escapes me, but a person who had worked at Cunningham Children's Home for a long time, teaching drumming, among other things, and who had since passed away, and kind of almost like a memorial conversation about that person's contributions locally. So just these things that create kind of history and memory and culture, like, all at once. I was so impressed by the festival, and I echo that for all of our festivals I've gone to recently. I've just been really impressed by the depth of them and what's going on, and how easy it is for different people coming from different art forms to access it at the same time, whether you're a poet or a musician or visual artist. So I was really impressed by that.
Thank you, Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
I also
go ahead.
On that question, when we started the festival, our first year, we were hitting about 500, and that was a 2-day festival.
Mm-hmm.
So for us to get to where we are today, it was a surprising jump in a good way, as I said. So I just want to reiterate what the difference was between 2019 and this year.
Yeah. And I was really impressed at seeing different artists from all over the region as well. Any other questions or comments? Go ahead, Barbara.
What lessons did you learn from year to year?
Oh my God.
Anytime you're in an event like that, you always learn how to do something better, more efficient, or differently.
Yes.
What was your takeaway from all of this?
Our takeaway, Susan. Well, our takeaway, I would say there's a lot to take away from this, but our takeaway, I would say, would be, that's a really good question, because there's a lot.
Well, I keep thinking, we actually had a wrap up dinner with our team. We realized that we actually need a bigger team. That was one of our biggest takeaways this year. To be honest with you, 2 weeks before the festival, our vendor list exploded. And we were just getting ping, ping, ping in our email, you know, our notifications so we, and it stretched us in a way that we had never been stretched before. I mean, planning is always stretches you, but, and there is a little bit of stress as well, but this year was very unique because I think everybody just wanted to just be around people, you know, especially with the pandemic last year. So sure. I would say one of our biggest takeaways is that we now have to plan and actually add to our team this coming year, or in preparation for what's coming in the next few years. And if Cindy, if you can talk about also just the challenges of navigating the space of our vendors, if you could speak from that.
Yeah, I could definitely do that. I would say space is almost going to become an issue for us. So we might just have to start looking into outside space and just working, maybe collaborating with Lincoln Square Mall and still having the festival outside so people can kind of choose where they want to be at the same time. But yeah, that's one of the challenges that I foresee us having is the space.
It's sort of a happy problem.
Yeah.
Careful what you wish for.
Oh yeah. But when you set your goals in the beginning where it's like, okay, year 5, you know, or year 10, we want to be outside. And then it's like, oh, you're having those problems at year 3, year 4 now. So you have to kind of navigate the water.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on a wonderful festival. Thank you to both of you for your presentation today.
To everyone, for sure.
Thank you so much.
Rachel, do you want to discuss we have new business as the next agenda item?
Yes, okay. I've added an agenda item, and it is the discussion of a proposal to establish a youth commissioner seat. So if I can just have a couple more minutes of your time before we adjourn this evening, I'll be brief, but I want to talk to you a little bit about that proposal. So for those of you that are not new commissioners, you'll recall that one of the things that we've talked about, and I'm asking you to think back to our annual retreat where we have our annual meeting to do strategic planning. We had talked about wanting to potentially involve teens more intentionally into the fabric of how we vision for the program. And at the time, we also had a city council person, Julie Lout, who was having that conversation at the city council level, talking about it would be great if a lot of our commissions had teen seats on the commission. And that was something that we talked about very briefly at our own strategic planning. We do have a commission, the Sustainability Commission at the City of Urbana, that has a teen seat and has had a teen seat for some time. So it does, I've looked into this for us, and what needs to happen is going to be an amendment to our ordinance. So it does need to go before City Council. So what I wanted to do is just make sure that that's something that you all would like to pursue. If we model it after the Sustainability Commission, that teen is appointed to a 1-year term as opposed to a 3-year term, but it is renewable. And for the Sustainability Commission, they ended up having a freshman be the first person. And so that person they age out when they're 18. So I believe it's between 14 and 18 years old. So when that person graduates, I believe next year, they will have actually done all 4 years. They stayed and renewed for the Sustainability Commission. So they've had the same teen on their commission for some time. That student will not be necessarily voting. Now, all of you do pretty much 1 vote a year. And those of you that are new, I'm going to be sitting down with you individually and kind of giving you much more of the onboarding experience that I can give you. But we primarily do 1 vote that's a bigger vote every year. And that's voting on our Tier 3 Urbana Arts Grant applications. That's our festivals. So a couple of like Pygmalion and some of the other festivals tend to apply to that grant. That would be one that you would evaluate, and that would be one that our teen seat would not evaluate. But other than that, they'd be a full participant in the Arts and Culture Commission, and it'd be somebody between the ages of 14 and 18 appointed for a 1-year renewable term. If that's something that you're still interested in pursuing, I think it would be great to have a teen involved with our Arts Commission work and a dedicated seat for teens. What I can do is, with your blessing, I'll move forward to work to kind of do what I need to do on our end to put that before City Council for consideration. So I just wanted to open that up as new business, a little item for discussion before we close this evening. Any questions or comments about that?
Rachel, I think that is a wonderful idea. I love, 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 love it.
I second that thought.
Excellent.
What's the process that we need to engage in to make this happen?
Yeah, to make the change, I had to visit and make sure that whether it would require a bylaws change or an ordinance change. And if we hadn't put that we have a 9-member advisory commission comprised of blah, blah, if we hadn't gotten that specific in our bylaws or our ordinance, we could have just done a bylaws change, but we got very specific in our original ordinance, which is great. So what I'll need to do is I would make a proposed change to our ordinance, and I would put that before City Council. It would be their decision. It wouldn't be our decision. And with their City Council approval, we can move forward with pursuing that. So I would prepare that as a memo to go before City Council at an upcoming meeting. And once approved, we'd be able to move forward with seeking applications, and then the mayor would appoint, just as the mayor appoints in the case of a regular commissioner.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions about it, comments? Generally, are you in support of this move forward?
It's worth exploring and seeing what happens. We might find a diamond in the rough.
Yeah, I'm really excited, and I will put that together and hopefully have some news for you next month as far as any movement on that. But it's something that I wanted to make sure we followed up from the retreat and that we were able to pursue. And with so many new commissioners, it also seemed like a good time to pursue adding the seat if it was of interest, get that person eventually appointed, and then really work to make sure we're all onboarded. Now, one thing I wanted to mention before we close this evening, and it's connected to your service on the commission, is that typically, as I said, you vote on Tier 3 Urbana Arts grants. So one thing to just remember is that we have often had that be a November special meeting. What I've done this cycle is I have actually made all the deadlines in January, including for Tier 3. Knowing that I was getting a new commission, getting the feedback that we did have from the Tier 3 grantees, I had moved it up really soon in November because they had originally indicated they wanted to hear earlier whether they received the grant because it really helps them in their planning. But then we moved it earlier and they said, oh, it's a little too early. You know, we just had our festivals in September, October, and then we have to come and present on the next year right in November. So instead, I've made the deadline January. So just so that you know, at the next meeting, I'll be also making you aware of the special meeting that we're going to need to call in January. For those of you that are new, our process is that for Tier 3, they actually present to us in public. So they come, they submit a paper application, but they're supposed to give a presentation in public at our meeting. And so those, we don't typically have a ton of people apply in that category, but say we have 5 or so applications, they're all going to come and give presentations on a special meeting date. And then the following meeting, we will have created sort of a voting process, and then you'll be able to vote on the finalization. I put together a recommendation, and I'll walk you through that whole process next month so you become very familiar with it. But I just want to give you a heads up in case you were wondering, those of you that are, you know, have been on our commission a while, we're not having a special meeting in November. It will be in January. And that'll just be an extra meeting in January. Otherwise, we meet once a month. All right. Well, thank you. I'll write that up and I'll get that going.
In your spare time.
That's right.
Well, if there's no other business, I think do we need to vote on adjournment?
I don't believe so when we're on Zoom. I think you can adjourn.
I think so. Just wanted to double check. Feels like a new season we should revisit.
Yeah.
Anyone have any objections? Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm. Can we get a second for adjourning?
Second.
Great, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Wonderful to see you all. Look forward
You
to
too.
seeing you all again soon, or at least next month, if not sooner.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.